What up, boxing world? JF Sports. Anyway, as you guys know, Gennady Golovkin won via 8th round TKO against David Lemieux last Saturday. And an article came out regarding Gennady Golovkin's future. 5 potential opponents in 2016. Anyway, some of them are ridiculous and some of them are, I guess you can call it potential fight, but still I don't necessarily agree with them, but you guys can make your own conclusions and stuff like that. They said that obviously Gennady Golovkin is looking into the winner of the Miguel Cotto versus Canelo Alvarez. That's gonna be happening here pretty soon. I see that fight with Miguel Cotto or Canelo Alvarez highly possible. You know, the only problem with that though is the catch weight that everybody's talking about. Golovkin has already said that he's not willing to do any catch weight, and actually he's being criticized for that, and I can understand why. And also I can understand why Golovkin don't want no catch weight. You know, so it's a middleweight title, and he says pretty much that it's got to be a 160, and a lot of you guys would agree and argue that Golovkin is probably scared to go down in weight when initially before he was willing to go down to 154 to fight Floyd Mayweather. And some of you guys would say that Miguel Cotto, I'm not really talking about Canelo Alvarez, because I think Canelo Alvarez would probably agree to 160, right? Maybe not. But as far as Miguel Cotto, because he's older, he's more of the veteran, he's sort of in the retirement mood now. Now I could see him really demanding a catch weight, as Cotto has always done that before. There's nothing wrong with that at all, as long as the opponent, potential opponent agrees to it. But if you got Golovkin here not wanting to have any catch weight, then that fight could potentially not happen. If, and I emphasize if, not when, if Miguel Cotto beats Canelo Alvarez, but that's 50-50. Anyway, like I said, the problem with that is that Cotto, I don't see him going up to 160 to fight somebody very solid like Golovkin. He already knows that Golovkin is very comfortable at 160, in that obviously Cotto I wouldn't say that he said, but I'll just say this, even though there's articles that came out, I'll just say this. Miguel Cotto might want a catch weight to try, sort of an advantage. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't want Triple G to be comfortable at his best at 160, and also kind of like, because if you guys really look at it, yes, Cotto could probably make 160 and stuff, but that's a huge advantage, I think, in my own opinion, to Gennady Golovkin. Even though I think that fight it's a good fight, you know what I'm saying? And I'm sure Gennady Golovkin is probably in favor to win that fight. That's just my opinion. I mean, I could be wrong. As far as Gennady Golovkin, I mean, yes, he's been impressive. He's been knocking out his opponents. As a matter of fact, 21 knockouts in a row. But who really is out there for him that we can actually call competitor? You know what I'm saying? I mean, we can name a few, but it's not one of those guys like Canelo Cotto. Andre Ward is pretty much out of the question, since he had to move up to light heavyweight, unless you want to go move back down. And you guys know the issues about Golovkin and Ward, because Golovkin don't want to go up in weight. Ward wants to meet Golovkin at 168. I mean, what I'm saying? It's all this weight, catch weights and weight issues and controversies that's holding pretty much this big fights. But anyway, that's on them. If they don't want to fight, then they don't want to fight. Who's ducking who? Who knows? To be honest. As far as Canelo, if Canelo Alvarez wins against Miguel Cotto, as also De La Hoya had said yesterday, I believe, yesterday morning or yesterday or a couple days ago. He said that the Golovkin versus Canelo pretty much needs to happen, and I agree. You know what I'm saying? I think that'd be a good fight for both fighters. You know, good numbers, solid competitors. I mean, both are heavy punchers, and they look both heavier to me than Cotto. You know what I'm saying? We can argue that yes, Canelo and Gennady Golovkin looks heavier. They look heavier. They might not weigh heavier than Cotto and Golovkin and Canelo, but Cotto does look small. You know what I'm saying? He does look small, smaller than Canelo and Golovkin. But hey, it's whatever. I think Canelo and Golovkin's frame are just wider, so to speak. Now, if Canelo wins against Cotto, like I said, I could see him agreeing to 160. You know what I'm saying? I could see him. You know what? I'm gonna fight Golovkin at 160 because I'm the best. You know, he's young. He's got nothing really to lose. I mean, he's lost before to Mayweather. You know, and in this fight, Canelo, if he ever faced Golovkin, he's got nothing but to gain. You know what I'm saying? He got a lot to gain, not much to lose. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just think about it. If Canelo fights Golovkin and for somewhat God's reason, Canelo loses to Golovkin, I mean, what does he really have to lose? You know what I'm saying? It's not like he's undefeated. Now, it'll be a great opportunity for him to probably make, I don't know, between 7 to 8 figures, right? 7 figures easy, but 8 figures might make 8 figures for both Golovkin and Canelo. But on the Golovkin side, well, he's got everything to lose. He'll lose the title. You know what I'm saying? He lose bragging rights, and people probably call him hyped. You know what I'm saying? As people already calling him hype job. You know what I'm saying? You know, people are calling Golovkin hype because he beat. As people are now saying that Lemieux is a bum. I don't get that. When in the beginning, people were saying that Lemieux had a very good potential to actually beat Golovkin, but he beat him Saturday, and now everybody, I mean, not everybody, but some fans, I would say maybe between 60 to 70% of the fans, especially Lemieux fans, they're saying that, Lemieux wasn't really a match. I mean, that's one's opinion. I'm not going to criticize you guys for that. That's your opinion. I respect that. But some people are also saying that Canelo is much more solid than Lemieux. But that's not what we heard before. You know what I'm saying? Before the Lemieux and Golovkin fight, we've heard all this, great things about Lemieux, that he was the one that's going to beat Golovkin and take all the titles and, all that stuff. But things happen in boxing. Fighters tend to trash talk their way to hype up the fight and make big numbers, and that's cool. Now, those two, Cotto and Alvarez, are probably more likely to happen. As long as they have no problem with catch weights, and I don't think that Golovkin could be criticized, neither as Canelo or Cotto could be criticized by fighting Golovkin, and vice versa. Now, some of these things that were mentioned in this article, which I'm about to tell you guys, in this article that came out, I'll put the link in the description, y'all can check them out. They said that was the number 1 pick, whoever wins the Cotto and Canelo fight. Number 2, on the other hand, very interesting. Number 2 pick in this article is Andy Lee or Billy Joe Sanders. Very interesting, right? I don't necessarily think that Andy Lee or Joe Sanders would beat Golovkin, but it's a fight that it's got potential. You know what I'm saying? It's not the biggest fight, so to speak. It's not the most number that's probably gonna get out of boxing. I mean, it's not like that. I mean, Billy Joe Sanders, he's young. He's a tough guy, tough kid, I should say. He's only 26 years old. I mean, you guys already know he's always rated at middleweight. He's 5'11", a little taller than Golovkin, about half an inch or so. and he's a southpaw. So that's good fight for Golovkin, right? It could be competitive fight, but the only thing why I'm saying that it might not be so big of a fight is because this kid, as people are gonna criticize the fight if it does happen, this kid only got 12 knockouts out of 22 fights. I mean, he's never lost before. He's undefeated. I get it, but he's a young cat. Never really fought anybody solid. I mean, not solid like Golovkin or Canelo, but he's there, but not really. You know what I'm saying? He's fighting Andy Lee, if you guys already know. He's fighting him, I think, in December, and that's for the WBO World Middleweight title. So that's a potential fight. Young kid like that with not so high of a knockout ratio, but it's undefeated. 22 wins, no losses, no draws, just 22 wins and 12 knockouts. So that's an okay fight. I shouldn't say good. That's an okay fight. That could potentially happen. Obviously, Golovkin would be in favor to win that fight. And if Andy Lee wins the fight against him, then it would be Andy Lee, right? Andy Lee is the second opponent potential for Golovkin. Now, you guys know Andy Lee is not undefeated. He's got 2 losses in his resume. He's got over 30-something fights. Matter of fact, he's got, 34 wins, and he's got 24 knockouts in his record. He only got 1 draw. That's cool. You know what I'm saying? I think that Golovkin might not be so hesitant, or probably could not be. I shouldn't say that, because Andy Lee used to fight at light middleweight. So, but he is a tall dude. He's 6'2", right? And he's not that young neither. He's 31. Yes, you guys know Golovkin is over 30 years old also. So I mean, that's cool. He's also southpaw. So, but I just want to mention to you guys that there was once that Andy Lee was rated at light middleweight. So I don't know if that make a difference to you guys. Maybe not. Maybe yes. Some of you guys, it's up to you. So that's number 2 pick basing off on the article. So Andy Lee or Billy Joe Sanders winner. So we'll find that out. That's in because they're fighting in December. That's a cool fight, but Billy Joe Sanders, as you guys, has never fought in the U.S., so that'll be very interesting to him. And it says number 3 is Toriano Johnson. So, Toriano Johnson he's a good competitor. All right. Now, I'm not, knocking him for that. He's a good fighter. You know what I'm saying? I think that this matchup with Golovkin could be potentially big. But I don't see, I don't see Toriano Johnson winning against Golovkin. I don't see it. You guys might have a different opinion, but I don't know, man. I don't. It's a good fight, but I don't think he'd win. I don't see it. I mean, the way he fights and the way he fought this weekend, I was impressed, but not so much. And pretty much the elephant in the room, but not the 5th potential opponent for Golovkin, is Andre Ward. That's what this article was saying. Now, Andre Ward, we can go back and forth like this and that. Who's ducking who wants to catch weight, who doesn't want to catch weight, who's waiting on who. I mean, this is like talking, mixing religion with science. Nobody's going to ever win. We all have our different opinions. It doesn't matter what my opinion is, because you guys are just going to criticize me anyway. You know what I'm saying? I think that Andre Ward is a good fighter. I think Golovkin is a good fighter. Both fighters are undefeated. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, Golovkin has a better record. And some say, and Andre Ward pretty much said that, he's not going to wait on Golovkin. And that's also contrary to popular belief, because Abel Sanchez had just said in an article, in an interview, as a matter of fact, I think it was last night, or was it early this morning? He said that, they're the one that wanting that fight, and they're not waiting on Ward to make up his mind. So, I mean, if you're, if you were a Andre Ward fan, obviously you'd back him up. You know what I'm saying? Without any hesitations, you would say that Golovkin was the one ducking the Ward. And obviously, if you're Gennady Golovkin's fan, then you would say that it's Andre Ward just ducking Golovkin. So, you know what I'm saying? We can't win. Nobody's going to win. We can only talk about it. But like I said, I think the Andre Ward versus Golovkin fight is almost mixing religion with science. Just not going to work. I don't think so. Do I think that there'll be a good fight? I think so. I think it'll be a good fight. Do I think that it's going to happen? I would say no. I don't think it's ever going to happen. But that's just my opinion. You know, it's not impossible for the fight to happen, but it's almost impossible. I don't know if that makes sense. You know, it's not impossible to make it happen, but it's almost impossible to make it happen. So, like I said, religion and science. So I don't know. Just leave it at that. Especially now that Andre Ward had moved up to 175, you know, potentially fighting Kovalev. Then it's, I don't know, man. I think I got a better chance to try to find Bigfoot than that fight to happen. But anyway, the fifth one, the last one in this article, is saying is Bernard Hopkins, which to me is ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? I think Bernard Hopkins would want that fight against Golovkin only to make payday. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much it. Come on, man. Bernard Hopkins is a legend. He's a Hall of Famer. He's over 50 years old. All right? Last fight he did, what was it? Okay, I'll just give you guys my thoughts on how he fought Kovalev. I'm not comparing Kovalev at all to Gennady Golovkin. Right? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that based on the performance, you know what I'm saying? Bernard Hopkins was smart when he fought Kovalev. You know what I'm saying? He didn't get knocked out. You know what I'm saying? He didn't get knocked down. He went all 12 rounds with Kovalev, a very heavy puncher guy, a knockout artist. He did go 12 rounds with him. But he barely threw any shots. He barely threw any punches. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much just danced around the ring. You know, I'm not criticizing him because, like I said, he's over 50. He's done all what he could in the ring. But I think Bernard Hopkins sticking around and potentially could be, or if not, potentially wanting the Golovkin fight only because of payday. That's it. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So those five guys, it's tough. You know, it's tough. The only really fight that I could see maybe possibly happening is Cotto, Canelo, Billy Joe Sanders, and Andy Lee. Those four opponents. But like I said, even this time, man, I gotta be honest with you guys, that even at this point, I think even if Cotto wins against Canelo, I don't think he'll ever fight Golovkin at 160. You know, but that's just my opinion. You know, I think Cotto would want to fight at 154. You know what I'm saying? Let's push it up to 156. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think he'd agree to 160 because he knows at 160 that's where Golovkin's comfort zone is. I mean, yes, people criticize that, you know, hey, man, Golovkin, you know, he never come out of or leave his comfort zone to try to compromise and fight Cotto to catchweight and stuff like that. But, you know, Golovkin has his own opinion about catchweights, you know, and Cotto, on the other hand, has a different opinion also. So this is just my opinion. I think the highly likely fight to happen is Golovkin and Canelo. That's just me. But that obviously based off of Canelo beating Cotto comes November. So if he wins that fight, most likely he'll get a shot at Golovkin. No catch weights, right? So I think Canelo would agree just fine. Hey, man, I'll fight you, Gennady. Fight you on 160 all day. No problem. I think Canelo could make that weight. No problem. And still, you know, be strong. You know, and still be somewhat fast. So, I mean, Golovkin is not fast anyway. So, sure. So, for Canelo, that's a 50-50 for him. You know, it's not like Golovkin is so fast at 160. He's a hard puncher at 160. He's a knockout artist at 160. And as we've seen lately, or as we've seen this weekend, he could box too. He could jab too. But, you know, so Canelo Alvarez could do the same. So I think that's a good match, 50-50. Yes, Canelo, he's a younger dude, but they got, you know, pretty, not so similar, but pretty similar record. You know what I'm saying? Only that Canelo lost before. But as far as punching power, as far as stands and skill, that's a good fight. I think that'd be good. But like I said, that's just my opinion. I think it'd be a good fight. But the Golovkin versus Cotto, I just don't see it. I mean, a lot of you guys are, you know what I'm saying that, Cotto would win the fight against Canelo. I mean, you gotta realize, right? Cotto got some age in him. You know what I mean? He got some miles in him. You know what I mean? He's been beat down. He's been knocked down. He's been knocked. I mean, you know what I'm saying? He's got some miles in him. And like I said, I mean, that was very brave of him to accept the Canelo fight, even though Miguel Cotto is slight favorite to win that fight. In my eyes, that shit is 50-50. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna be biased here and say that, hey man, yeah, Cotto would win that fight against Canelo, or if Cotto goes against Golovkin, Cotto win that fight. And he can't do that. You know what I'm saying? I can't say that for Canelo either, because I don't know. You know what I'm saying? You don't know if that's one of those fights that is, yes, Cotto's slightly favored against Canelo, but it's one of those fights, man, that that shit could go either way. You know? And the betting odds, if you're a gambler, if you go bet that fight, hey man, you might as well kiss your money goodbye, because you don't know who's gonna win. But you could get lucky. But it's like rolling the dice right there. It's not like, Golovkin fighting Monroe, you know what I'm saying, or Lemieux, which was 16-1 underdog in some sports book. You know what I'm saying? You got a chance of you got somewhat of an advantage. But as far as Canelo Cotto, yes, like I said, Cotto will be slightly favored, but that's a 50-50 to me. So the only reason why Cotto is even favored to win that fight is because his veteranship, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? But as far as punching power, skill, we all know Canelo, man. Canelo can fight. So got heart. He's young. Got full of energy, and not to mention, dude's a knockout artist also. So there you go. Well, I thought I'd give you guys, my thoughts and 5 potential opponents as this article gave us today. I'm gonna put the link in the description so y'all check it out, and you guys let me know what you think. And leave those comments in the comment section. And like I said, as always, thank you guys for watching, and thank you for stopping by. I'll talk to you in the next one.